Hello and welcome. You're watching News 9 Live. I am Krishna Kumar. At least 40 workers appear to be trapped after a portion of an under-construction tunnel from Silkyara to Dandalgaon in Uttarkashi collapsed. The incident is reported to have occurred at around a depth of 270 meters from the Silkyara side of the tunnel. Police said the incident occurred around 4 a.m. in the morning when a 150-meter long portion of the 4.5 kilometer long tunnel collapsed. The State Disaster Response Force and police teams have also been deployed to the location to aid in relief efforts. Authorities said that nearly 200 meters of the slab will have to be cleared to open the tunnel. A narrow opening has been made for now to insert an oxygen pipe in the tunnel and help the trapped laborers survive. No casualties have been reported so far.
लगातार सभी एजेंसियां जो भी इसके एक्सपर्ट हैं, एनडीआरएफ की टीम, एसडीआरएफ की टीम, रेलवे के अन्य जो काम करने वाली टीमें हैं, अन्य जो एजेंसियां हमारे यहाँ पर काम कर रही हैं और जो विशेषज्ञ हैं, वो सारे इस काम को संपन्न कराने के लिए, लोगों को सकुशल बाहर निकालने के लिए काम कर रहे हैं। और अभी इस समय में हमारी प्राथमिकता है कि सभी जो 40 हमारे श्रमिक भाई अंदर हैं, उन सभी को सुरक्षित बाहर निकाला जाए। उनके परिवार के लोगों को, परिवारजनों को भी हम आश्वस्त करना चाहते हैं कि केंद्र सरकार और राज्य सरकार पूरी तरह से गंभीर है और हर संभव प्रयास कर रहे हैं। रात भर पूरा रेस्क्यू का काम चला है, अंदर से संपर्क भी स्थापित हुआ है। अच्छी बात यह है कि उनसे संपर्क स्थापित हो गया है और साथ में जो कुछ यहाँ पर ह्यूम पाइप इत्यादि की आवश्यकता है, वो भी हरिद्वार से यहाँ पर लाए जाने की कार्रवाई की जा रही है और वो होते ही हमें पूरा भरोसा है कि जल्दी से जल्दी वो बाहर निकल जाएंगे, सब सुरक्षित आएँ। हम भगवान से भी प्रार्थना करते हैं कि भगवान भी जो है हमारी मदद करें, अपना आशीर्वाद दें।
देखिए, करीब 40 मजदूर के आसपास फंसे होने की संभावना व्यक्त की गई है और जो राहत एवं बचाव कार्य है वो सभी जो टीमें मौजूद है और एजेंसियां भी है, पुलिस के साथ साथ एसडीआरएफ, एनडीआरएफ, आर्मी, आईटीबीपी और इसके साथ साथ जो टेक्निकल एक्सपर्ट है वो टीम और उनकी मशीनरी मौजूद है। देखिए, अभी राहत और बचाव कार्य जारी है। जैसे मैंने बताया, टेक्निकल टीमें और मशीनरी का मोबिलाइजेशन हुआ है अभी और लोग भी आए हैं, टीएसडीसी से भी लोग आए हैं। तो वो लोग जो है टनल में रास्ता बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, तो होपफुली हमें सफलता मिलेगी। देखिए, उन्होंने सिग्नल देने की कोशिश की थी, जो अंदर टीम हमारी मौजूद है उनके द्वारा बताया गया कि उधर से सिग्नल दिया गया है, तो इसे ये एक अच्छी खबर भी है कि अब हम काफी उम्मीद करते हैं कि हमें सफलता मिलेगी।
अंदर की अभी मकिंग चल रहा है, एक्सवेटर और लोडर से मकिंग चल रहा है, हाईवा से निकालते जा रहा है और बाकी निकाल रहा है और वो माल गिर रहा है। अभी पता नहीं लगाया जा सकता है कि कितना वो माल गिरा है। अंदाजा लगाया जा सकता है कि 30-35 मीटर के लमसम वो टनल गिरने का अंदाजा है सर। और ये प्रोसेस सुबह करीब 5:30 बजे के लमसम ये घटना हुआ है सर। अंदर करीब 40 से 45 आदमी फंसने का सर।
सुरक्षित है?
जी, सारे सुरक्षित है। कहा कि 4 बजे के लमसम ये वाटर पंप से अंदर से पानी आया है सर। उन लोग पानी ये सामने जो आप देख रहे हैं, वो अंदर से मोटर से पानी आता है, तो उन लोग पानी करके इशारा दिया है सर। उससे साफ जाहिर होता है कि अंदर से आदमी सब सुरक्षित है।
The Uttarkashi Tunnel project is an ambitious engineering project located on the Char Dham route, which is one of India's most ambitious highway projects. And these are live visuals coming to you of the tunnel and sound bites as well. Let's listen in.
तेजी से जो बचाव का काम है, रेस्क्यू का काम है, मलबा हटाने का जो काम है, वो तेजी से चल रहा है। और यहाँ पर चूँकि कंप्रेसर के माध्यम से उनको खाने के लिए भी जो लोग अंदर है, खाद्य सामग्री भी अंदर भेजी गई है और सभी लोग अभी पूरी तरह से ठीक हैं। उनसे लगातार यहाँ पर बात भी हो रही है, इसलिए हम आश्वस्त हैं कि जल्दी से जल्दी ये रेस्क्यू पूरा कर लिया जाएगा। और जो भी विशेषज्ञ हैं उन सभी से बात हो रही है। राज्य सरकार और केंद्र सरकार लगातार इसको लेकर गंभीर है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने, गृह मंत्री जी ने, हमारे रेलवे मंत्री जी ने स्वयं सभी लोगों से बात की है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने तो बहुत विस्तार से इस सारे घटनाक्रम की जानकारी ली है और उन्होंने हर संभव हमको भरोसा दिया है कि हम पूरी मदद करेंगे और मैं सभी जो हमारे भाई अंदर हैं उनके पारिवारिक जनों से भी कहना चाहता हूं कि हमारा हर संभव प्रयास है कि उनको सुरक्षित जल्दी से जल्दी बाहर निकालें।
निर्देश दिए आपने कार्रवाई करने के?
नहीं, कार्रवाई लगातार हो रही है और पूरी गंभीरता से हो रही है। हमारी सबकी पहली प्राथमिकता है कि सबको सकुशल बाहर निकाला जाए।
धन्यवाद।
That's Pushkar Dhami, the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand, giving the latest updates that the workers stuck underneath the tunnel are being provided food and water supplies. Constant communication is happening with them. So they are confirming this live that the workers are safe and they are keeping their efforts up so that they can be rescued at the earliest. Those are the latest updates we are getting as far as the Uttarkashi tunnel collapse is concerned. It's an ambitious project, as I've been telling you, in the Char Dham route. The Char Dham connects Gangotri, Yamunotri, Kedarnath and Badrinath. It's a bi-directional 2-lane, 4.5 kilometer long tunnel and is being developed by NHIDCL, and the tunnel has an excavated diameter of 14 meters and will reduce the distance from 35 kilometers to just 4.5 kilometers between Yamunotri and Uttarkashi. However, the terrain, topography, accessibility, climate and geology pose significant challenges for this tunnel's construction. 90% of the tunnel is being excavated by removing violate rock, which is a weak rock formation. The two ends of the tunnel are located in Barkot and Silkiara. Now, as far as the details of those trapped are concerned, 172 workers rescued by the Indian Army after an avalanche struck Zojila tunnel project on the 14th of Jan 2023. We're just giving you a lowdown of the kind of tunnel mishaps we've witnessed and the results of them. 14 Jan, 172 workers rescued. On the 19th of May 2022, 10 people died after tunnel collapses in Khoni Nalla of Jammu and Kashmir during an audit. 78 people died after a glacier burst, resulting in flooding of a tunnel in Topavan on the 7th of February 2021. The ITBP, or Indian Tibetan Border Police, saved 12 people trapped in a tunnel after the Uttarakhand floods of February 2015. And the NDRF rescued 2 workers trapped after an accident at a tunnel in Bilaspur in September 2015. A labourer who was trapped in a tunnel for 6 days was rescued eventually in January 2011. So hopes are certainly high as far as rescuing those who are trapped in this Uttarkashi tunnel collapse as well. We will be bringing you the latest updates on that front right here on News 9 Live. Shifting focus away from that, amidst strained relations, India urged Canada at the UNHRC to boost its legal framework to stop the misuse of freedom of expression to incite violence and prevent activities of extremist groups. India further offered 3 suggestions to Canada in the spirit of constructive criticism.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. India welcomes and thanks the delegation of Canada for the presentation of their national report. We note the enactment of National Housing Strategy Act, Accessible Canada Act, and the National Strategy to Combat Human Trafficking. In the spirit of constructive dialogue, India recommends the following to Canada. 1. Further strengthen the domestic framework to prevent misuse of freedom of expression for inciting violence and disallow activities of groups which are promoting extremism. 2. Effectively prevent attacks on places of worship of religious and racial minorities, strengthen legislative and other measures to address hate crimes and hate speech. 3. Put an end to structural discrimination against children belonging to indigenous groups and address disparities in access to services by all children. We wish the delegation of Canada all success. I thank you.
Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau shot a fresh salvo against India in response to India's call on Canada at the United Nations Human Council to prevent misuse of freedom of speech. He made the statement in front of the media at the launch of a countrywide smart energy grid in Canada. He said that the world will become more dangerous for everyone if bigger countries can violate international law without consequences. He also cited how, quote-unquote, India kicked out a whole bunch of Canadian diplomats by violating their rights under the Vienna Convention.
But we have reached out to the Indian government and to partners around the world to get to the bottom of this, to take it seriously. That's why we were so disappointed when India violated the Vienna Convention and arbitrarily revoked the diplomatic immunity of over 40 Canadian diplomats in India. Think about it from our perspective. We have serious reasons to believe that agents of the government of India could have been involved in the killing of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil, and India's response is to kick out a whole bunch of Canadian diplomats by violating their rights under the Vienna Convention. But every step of the way, we have tried to work constructively and positively with India, and we will continue to. And that means continuing to work with Indian government diplomats. This is not a fight we want to be having right now. But we will unequivocally always stand up for the rule of law, because that's who Canada.
That was Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau taking a fresh pot shot against India. Ties between New Delhi and Ottawa have been hit since Trudeau accused Indian agents of involvement in the killing of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Nijjar was shot dead outside a Gurdwara in Canada's British Columbia in the month of June this year. Nijjar was chief of the banned Khalistan Tiger Force. He was one of India's most wanted terrorists. India hit out at Canada, calling the allegations absurd and motivated. A thick layer of smog engulfed Delhi and its adjoining national capital region a day after Diwali, especially with most people in Delhi NCR violating the ban on the bursting of crackers for Diwali. Bear in mind, a ban imposed by the Supreme Court of India. A thick haze was seen covering the roads that reduced visibility and made it difficult to see beyond just a few hundred meters. The Air Quality Index, or AQI, at many places in Delhi NCR was either in the severe or severe plus category for the past several days. However, following an intermittent rainfall on Friday, the average AQI slipped into the poor category. AQI in parts of Chennai too deteriorated to poor category according to the Central Pollution Control Board. Looks like it's not just Delhi NCR after Diwali, and not just Chennai. In Mumbai, parts of the city was engulfed in smog post the festivities of Diwali and cracker bursting in many parts of Mumbai, also contributing to smog in Mumbai as well.
The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being.
It is day 38 of the Israel-Hamas war, and here are the latest updates coming your way. Over 11,078 Palestinians and 1,200 Israelis have been killed so far. 4,506 children have been killed in Gaza, one every 10 minutes on average. 46 IDF or Israeli Defense Forces soldiers have been killed in ground operations. 247 Israelis are still being held as hostages in Gaza by Hamas. 579 aid trucks have been let into Gaza so far. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has pushed back against international calls for a ceasefire. Iran, meanwhile, has called on Islamic nations to designate the Israeli Defense Forces or IDF as a terrorist organization. The United Nations says 3 nurses have been killed at the main Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza. US strikes on 2 locations on eastern Syria have been recorded as well. Meanwhile, trade unions have told India's central government to scrap the deal to send Indian workers to Israel. Meanwhile, the Israeli military has said that it will help in evacuating babies who are trapped in Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital. The announcement was made by Israeli military spokesperson Daniel Hagari. Listen into that.
We're speaking directly and regularly with the hospital staff. The staff of the Shifa hospital has requested that tomorrow we will help the babies in the pediatric department to get to a safer hospital. We will provide the assistance needed. There is no siege, I repeat, there is no siege on the Shifa hospital. The east side of the hospital is open on El Wadi Street for the safe pass of Gazans who wish to leave the hospital.
Thousands of people seeking safety in southern Gaza fled the enclave's main hospital on Saturday as fighting continued in the area for the second day. This man says he lost his son in gunfire and that he had to keep moving, leaving his body at the site.
It's more of a war zone here. It's continuous bombardment for more than 24 hours.
Speaking to Reuters by phone, Palestinian senior plastic surgeon Dr. Ahmed al-Mokhalalati said most of the hospital staff and people sheltering at Gaza's largest hospital, Al-Shifa, had left, but 500 patients were still there. A Palestinian health ministry spokesman said Israeli shelling had killed a patient in intensive care, and fighting was limiting people's ability to move. Palestinian officials said 2 babies had died and dozens more were at risk after fuel ran out on Saturday. At a news conference, Chief Israeli military spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said the military will help evacuate babies trapped there. In this video released by the Israeli army, defense official Colonel Moshe Tetro says there are clashes between Israel Defense Forces troops and Hamas operatives around the hospital, but the Israeli military denied endangering it. Israel said earlier that doctors, patients, and thousands of evacuees who have taken refuge at the hospitals in northern Gaza must leave so it can tackle Hamas gunmen who it says have placed command centers under and around them. Hamas denies using hospitals in this way. Meanwhile, Hamas said it had completely or partially destroyed more than 160 Israeli military targets in Gaza, including more than 25 vehicles in the past 48 hours. But an Israeli military spokesperson said Hamas had lost control of northern Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu repeated in a press conference on Saturday his aim that Israel take security control over Gaza for an indefinite period, saying we won't stop until the mission is completed. Dr. Rick Brennan, the regional emergency director of the World Health Organization, says the situation is desperate.
50% of those hospitals are non-functioning right now. Those that are functioning are working well below their capacity because of a lack of fuel, a lack of medicines, a lack of water and necessary medical supplies. Doctors, nurses are completely exhausted and overwhelmed. and a number of the hospitals are under attack.
As the humanitarian situation worsened, Gaza's border authority announced that the Rafah land crossing into Egypt would reopen on Sunday for foreign passport holders after being closed on Friday.
The Gaza Strip's biggest hospital, Al-Shifa, is in the headlines world over. And in the latest development, the World Health Organization is reporting that the Al-Shifa hospital has been without water for 3 days and quote-unquote not functioning as a hospital anymore. But let's take a look at why Al-Shifa is important to the Israeli Defense Forces and its goals in the Gaza Strip to combat Hamas. Control of Al-Shifa hospital is a key Israeli military and political aim. Israel says that Hamas has crucial bunkers and infrastructure in the premises of the hospital. IDF also alleges that Hamas is using patients as shields. However, carrying out an offensive on Al-Shifa comes with diplomatic risk for Israel. The US has made its wish of not seeing any fighting in Gaza's healthcare facilities known to Israel, and this puts Israel under a lot of pressure, who claim that they do not target medical facilities, but the headquarters of Hamas is bunkers under Al-Shifa hospital, and that the terror group is using patients, medical staff, and thousands displaced by the fighting as quote-unquote human shields. IDF announced the delivery of 300 liters of fuel to Al-Shifa hospital for urgent medical purposes on the 13th of November. They also added that Hamas reportedly prohibited the hospital from accepting the fuel, and Hamas was looking to siphon off the fuel for their own purposes. After Israel's latest attacks on Al-Shifa compound, the health officials and people trapped inside Gaza's largest hospital rejected Israel's claims that it was helping babies and others evacuate, as reported by the Associated Press. The World Health Organization has called for an immediate ceasefire in the light of the situation. And with that, it's a wrap here from my side. Thank you so much for watching. Keep it with News9 Live.
News9 big coverage of 5 assembly polls. Mandate 2023. Hamas attacks Israel. Israel Defense Forces strike back at Hamas. As the war unfolds, watch the comprehensive coverage of the Israel war only on News9 Plus. To watch the full story, download the app now.
With all this gear, you must be wondering if I'm climbing a mountain. Well, let me give you a wider look of this place. This is Asia's largest mountain of shame.
A mountain of waste, almost the height of the Qutub Minar.
When you enter capital cities of some of the biggest countries in the world, you don't have 3 garbage mountains waiting to welcome you, depending on whichever side of the city you enter from.
The thing is that a lot of times we talk about landfills only when there's a fire at the landfill. You need to understand that a landfill is at fire almost throughout the year. It's only when the firefighters are not able to douse the fire is when it actually catches the nation's attention, the city's attention, or media attention.
The towering landfills worsen one of Delhi's biggest problems: pollution.
यहाँ पर आप रात को आओ, दिन में आओ, आप 1 घंटे बैठ नहीं सकते बाहर। इतनी धूल, प्रदूषण, महक, आप खाना भी नहीं खा सकते बाहर बैठ के।
Life around the landfill is a curse.
हमारे घर में जो बड़े हैं उन्हें अस्थमा के वो पेशेंट है, आए दिन उनको नेबुलाइजर लगाना पड़ता है।
डॉक्टर ने मुझे ये चीज बोला कि यहाँ का एरिया छोड़ के कहीं और जाइए।
Delhi's garbage mountains are now a fetid symbol of the national capital's trash problem. The question is, who is to be blamed? Watch Delhi's Garbage Mountains. Streaming on News 9 Plus for the Genflix.
He thought he could outrun